Hello and welcome back. I'm the Dyslexic Gamer and you're here for another installment of Rambling Reviews. Today's Rambling Review is on South of Midnight. And as usual, I'm just trying to help you determine whether this game is worth your time and your money. Combat system in this is very similar to like God of War. You enter an area where there's monsters. The monsters kind of lock you into an arena area. You have to defeat all the monsters before you can progress to the next area. In between those areas, you've got a 3D platforming system where you're jumping on like ledges or across rooftops or climbing up guardrails. Very similar to like some of the Tomb Raider games where you're climbing along a wall and you have to jump to the next cliff and then move along that cliff or that edge and then the next one. So very standard theme. The art style is very cool. It looks like, I think, they're realistic, semi-realistic, but people kind of look like they're carved out of clay, which is just giving a beautiful vibe. This game definitely is a unique or fairly unique story. I like the idea of it because it's not the reboot or redo of other games. It's got its own feel about it. The storyline is its own thing. I haven't seen one about this specific storyline at all. It definitely seems unique. The story does kind of follow a youth's journey, trying to grapple with their life and emotions and friction with parental units as she's trying to come into her own being. And part of that has a common story arc. So Hazel, the main character, gets into a fight with her mother, and shortly after that her mother is taken away or disappears or is off. Is very linear. The music in the background is very good, except for it doesn't really lend to the chase scenes, or the music in the boss fights is pretty decent, but it's just not action music. And it feels more like it was designed for the spoken storytelling of the game, which is a large part of how you progress, by gathering information from interesting characters and not having to do the whole 12 pages of reading to find out something more. Now, I'm not saying there isn't things you need to read, but it's a lot less than a lot of our more common things where you get this info dump from a page of text. The combat system itself is fairly engaging. It's definitely no Dark Souls. It's not dodge heavy. Well, I mean, you do dodge, but it's more similar to like God of War kind of thing, where you're jumping around and jumping back and attacking, not dodging to save your life. The ability progression is well spaced out, so you're not heavy loaded on the front and then not getting anything as you progress, or you have an hour of combat before you get anything new. It's definitely not one of these games where you don't have your powers until the end and that's when it starts to feel good. It also does a great job of making you feel like you have what you need and having all the powers you're going to have, and then it drops another one. So you're like, oh wow, we've got something better. We've got something new. There are side places to collect loot. The rest of the game is fairly linear. I mean, as you can see paths and stuff off that you go to for collecting loot to upgrade your abilities and items, but it's close. It's not like you go down 10 miles to find one item or something. But if you do somehow get lost, there is a button that gives you a kind of Dead Space guiding line. I mean, it's a little more Freddy wispy thing compared to Dead Space, but it gets you back on track. It is a fairly long game, so that plays a factor. Well, at this point, you have to ask yourself, is it worth playing the price it is? I mean, this game is not inexpensive, but it has a fair amount of content. It's an interesting take on a 3D platformer, but hopefully I've given you the information so you can determine whether it's worth your time and worth your money. I'm Dyslexic Gamer. I hope you have a good one.